What can you tell me about the strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
Wait, what if I want to hear about trade secrets?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
An octopus? I will slay it! How do I repeal it then? Wouldn't want to disturb an octopus, better let it be. How do I repeal it?
Why? By throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
Alright, I'll leave it alone.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
What is your role in this precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
You mean Jean-Luc, my race mentor? He's a great teacher, a man of virtue. So the strike is connected to the lynching. How are the talks going before the lynching? The strike is connected to the lynching.
Yes, I believe there is a connection. But that's a subject for later.
You mean Jean-Luc?
Oh, so you've met him. Has he beguiled you with his inane theories?
Unfortunately, yes.
My colleague has his peculiarities. Let's not go into this particular one just yet.
Thanks, Kim.
Of course. To each their own.
How are the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Overtime pay and a medical plan are the kinds of things that they should have already had.
Ludicrous, even. It's meant.
What happened to this Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it?
She pauses to compose herself.
Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Okay then. Cool, not cool. Yeah, that's not cool.
Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
What are their demands?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Okay, everyone has a piece of the pie.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
I like it. I don't know what to think about it. Over-aggressive commie posturing. Seems like they have no idea about business. Forget it. I want to ask something about the strike. I like
Then
it.
you might also like their other slogan. Demand democracy.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's weak. Not hard communist enough for me. Oh, that's a good one.
Personally, I don't think it has the same pizzazzo as every worker, a member of the board.
What exactly do they mean by it, though? What's the demand?
It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about what? About anything really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal.
Okay, I can see how this might be a problem.
Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
That's pretty funny, I have to admit. The workers can't be king, the king is king. The king is dead, long live the workers. The king is dead, long live the workers.
That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start.
What are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position. A hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again.
Unfortunately, doing that works.
And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the boyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
Okay. So she heard about it from Manana.
This checks out. No, wait. The chief negotiator heard it from a man at the gates. Surely the Wild Pines group has more effective channels of information. After all, 2,200 people are on strike. This is a big deal for them.
Logic's got a point. That's a lot of people. The scabs at the gate, did you put them there?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to?
Don't let her answer it herself.
No, I mean scabs. Let's call them strikebreakers. You put them there, right? You're right, I don't know what got into me. Some of that degenerate dockworker lingo has rubbed off. Let her continue. Alright, don't let her answer it herself. No, I mean scabs. Let's call them strikebreakers. You put them there, right? Yeah, this leads her to answer the question the way I want it to, I think. Let's call them strikebreakers.
If these strikebreakers were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
But why? Go again?
Don't let her answer it herself.
I mean scabs.
If these workers were organized by Wild
Okay,
Pines...
it's the same thing.
It's
Okay.
implied.
Tell me
She's
about this
open to
union boss,
discuss-
Mr. Clare.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
That's a bit over the top.
If you were to prick him with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
You sound like you're about to take a rapier to him. Is he that bad? He can't be that bad. Say nothing. Everard is a hero of the workers' movement. You sound like you're about to take a rapier to him.
Oh heavens, no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin.
She stops and smiles. He can't be that bad.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Wait, there are two of him?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over.
So they are identical twins, but one has a distinguishing feature. So you have to pay attention to their eyes to know which one we're actually talking to.
It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the union itself outside the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
She hesitates, looking for the right expression.
mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
We're working with the Mafia boys!
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother.
She turns to you.
And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
An effective advocate for the rights of local working men, a giant leech sucking the life out of Revachol, basically a socialist mob? I prefer not to have an opinion. So... going by what she's saying on Edgar and Everard, they are the leader of the union, but they're taking money away from the workers, and they're circumventing their term limits because they are able to swap each other out because they are twins. But they're not really in... Well, they managed to get a medical plan and overtime pay, so it's not that they're not effective. They could be giving more back to the workers, but then it's kind of hard to see what is being done for their benefit and what is being done for all of their benefit. Having not spoken to either of the Claires, it's hard to know what a, correct answer for this is. But generally, people in positions of power tend to take away from those that can't. So I'll say a giant leech sucking the life out of Revachol.
Indeed. And a hungry one. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the leech always hungers.
Yeah, so you shouldn't have been feeding it. Alright, one more thing. You said something happened in the election.
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Not a good sign when someone else is doing that.
This forewoman, her name?
This forewoman, her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman. In private correspondence, Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the Union's files.
Has the name Holly come up before? I don't think so, right? See, this is where, in my journal, I would have liked a page of, mapping names to faces. I think that would have been really useful. We have the map, which is close. So we've got Lena, the cryptozoologist's wife, the dock worker, Titus, the dice maker, The dice maker? Okay. Kuno, Laham, the Rene, Gaston. Without having a skill check, it's hard to see, who these people are or were. This is the type of game that you kind of want to have notes on and portraits. But, alright. So, some kind of extortion attempt, probably.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Claires. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
That's all I need here. Let's change the topic.
Of course. How else can I help?
What can you tell me about this lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid.
You fall silent for a moment, contemplating something.
The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
I don't have a name. Well, again, out of universe, I know my name is Harry Dubois, but I don't have a badge number.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57.
I'm not going to be able to show anything.
And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
Did you have to say that, Kim? You could have just said, this is my colleague from Precinct 41.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Remember when my partner told you I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
It's possible, after a night of heavy drinking, I lost all memory of my life and the world. I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything, this world, the city, nothing. Yes. I want to say this one, but I don't want to say it with I just want to say yes. But it's the closest one I've got, so yes.
I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please.
It's possible, after a night of heavy drinking, I lost all memory of my life and the world.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
She must have been suspecting something for a while now.
She was probably suspecting something as soon as I opened my mouth.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Yeah, I'm wearing the cloak.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Yeah, so apparently I can't ask for her boat license, but she can ask for my badge.
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
How do I negotiate my way out of this? Then I'll find it somehow. Let's talk about something else until I do. She's got sympathy for my amnesia and pities my boat failure. Pities my boat failure? Interesting. Okay, so failing that line of conversation has led to a bonus here. Well, it's a red check, so I can't retry it. But at the same time, I'm gonna find the badge at some point anyway, so this is just a way to speed things along, really. So, how do I negotiate my way out of this?
Feelings will guide the way.
But madam, I need to know about this lynching. It's very important to me. It's the case I'm solving.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible.
You don't understand. It's not like a side case for me. This is my main thing. You have so much else. I have only this. Spread your hands. This is the entirety of my existence. Yeah, I mean, you know. Sure. Let's see if she responds to it.
She's silent. The wind flaps the sail above her.
Literally nothing. Wow. Stone cold. This boat, for example, and a home somewhere. I only have this case. Yeah. I didn't want him to go. I didn't want to go down this far into it, but oh well. I only have this case.
Officer.
I don't remember anything except this lynching. There is only this coast and this lynching. This case is what I'll be known by. No, it won't.
You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt.
Okay.
You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting in. Somehow.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible.
A little bit of tit for tat. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbour. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the RCM either. Perhaps it's time to look into it.
Probably been way past time to look into it.
You can find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause.
You'd be surprised where things turn up.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excuse us for a moment, madam.
Regular law official. You've done it, Harry. Whatever else you are, you're also boring now. It was not easy. You spent most of your life trying to funk up every nook and cranny of your personality. When someone says something political, the first three thoughts in your head are a ludicrous hodgepodge of communism, fascism, and stock tips. When they ask you why you did something, it's superstardom, apocalypse, or the mea culpas of the flagellant cop monk. It's not easy reaching for the fourth option, the normal one. But you have. And now, you're not just crazy. You're also boring.
Wow, the way that's phrased means that I've unlocked a new option to talk to people. So gameplay-wise, I'm fine with it. And yes, it's in addition. You're not just crazy, you're also boring. Ooh. -1 shivers, a strong grasp of reality. -1 Inland Empire, dull but solid. All learning caps raised to 3. Is that a good thing? I don't think it is. Oh, it's raised to 3 additional to what I already had. Oh, wow. Okay. Wait, hang on. Learning caps raised to 3. So rhetoric, it can go up to 9. Perception can go up to 9 as well. Hang on. All learning caps raised to 3. But some of these caps haven't gone up to 3. I mean, Volition has. Bonus from thoughts +2. Endurance has gone up. I think what it's done is it's raised the learning cap by +3 minimum for the things that had a cap below. So, for example, everything in Psyche has now gone up to, I can put 3 points into it. But why is Rhetoric and Perception gone up? Oh, no, it can't be that, because I was thinking, is it because I've leveled up Perception and Rhetoric, but I haven't. I've leveled up Visual Calculus and Logic. Why have they gone up so far? Well, anyway. So, what it means is I can raise Volition, well, everything in Psyche up to a +3 if I wanted to. But it takes Shivers and Inland Empire down. I mean, Shivers is 3. That's not too bad. Inland Empire is equal. Yeah, I still don't understand what the learning cap's raised up to 3, really. It's just Rhetoric and Perception, really, that's throwing me off. Everything else would make sense to me. Alright. Let us make a save. Okay, so let's talk to Kitsuragi.
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
The lieutenant's voice is hushed. How did you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and you know, not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Oh, so we're henchmen now?
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
I mean, she is a negotiator.
Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
The company must have more ears on the ground. She could have known about my condition. What do you propose? That we don't investigate drug trafficking? We could just, you know, find my badge. She could have known about the condition.
I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off as sincere to me. I think she's just quick to adapt. She's a professional, after all.
What do you propose? That we don't investigate the drug trafficking?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we're siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it.
So we're going to do what she wants to do anyway.
What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done, and demand for her information on the lynching.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We could just find the badge, though.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large, and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters.
Again, you'd be surprised where things turn
The
up.
situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate it. Time is of the essence.
I still haven't really seen anything to suggest that I'm on a time limit in terms of the days.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
Alright, let's get back to it then.